Everybody, welcome back to Born to Create. So I am super excited today. I have an amazing rock star, a high ticket sales rock star, Preston Rahn. So Preston, we met, I think it was about a year ago at Joe Levy's event over in Vegas, where he taught on webinars. And your presentation to me, brother, was amazing because I've been in sales for about 14 years and never high ticket sales. And when I heard you talk about the numbers you're bringing in, I was just totally amazed and totally blessed. So I wanted to bring you on and just talk about how you're creating the lifestyle that you want, how you're choosing to be someone who's born to create and take advantage of that. So thank you and welcome. We're going to get into some real value today. So how are you today, sir?
Awesome. I'm doing awesome. Thanks so much, Anthony. It's a pleasure. So
no worries. So you're over in South Florida, and we're just talking about how hot it was. And when you were born to create, you don't let weather stop you. You don't let things stop you. You get out there and you get after it. So cool. So Preston is so guys. We're gonna talk about how to become a high ticket sales rock star. All right, Preston is a high ticket sales rock star. I want to bring him on and just dive into, pick his brain. I got my notepad and pen ready myself, so I'll be taking some notes so I can become a
ready as well.
yeah, and you guys should get your notepad ready, get your pen ready, so you're gonna be writing a lot. So, Preston, so tell me first, how did you get into sales?
Well, into sales, I've been in sales pretty much my whole life. I remember my grandfather and father are both entrepreneurs also. My grandfather was an artist and my dad's an accountant, but they both started their own businesses. And so my grandfather taught me how to hustle, and so my first, he kind of set up a deal for me. I was buying a remote control airplane and he wanted to have me negotiate it with his friend. So he set this whole thing up so that I can, negotiate it. And it was cool. It really, really got into me. And he was always telling stories, and that's how he could hook you. So I should have paid more attention, we don't really pay attention to our grandparents and stuff, but man, that's how he sells, and that's how we do it now, is we tell stories. So I got into high ticket sales. So I've been doing internet marketing. In 1998, I built my first website. I taught myself HTML, and I did graphics and I did programming and I did everything, internet marketing. And I got tired of internet marketing. And so I was like, what's something that doesn't, that I don't have to keep chasing Google's algorithm.
Right.
Get, something that's just consistent. I learned something and let it work instead of having to keep, changing stuff. So sales, I was like, I'm good at sales. Let's figure out sales. So I went out on my own. There was an event that came in and I remember I was hurting. I was I don't know what I'm going to do. Right. I was like, all right, I had a salary job. I went in and I quit. I was I saw the window clean. I used to do window cleaning in Colorado. And so I see these window cleaners and I'm like, man, look at those guys. They're outside having fun. I started looking, I was like, man, if I did this, and I started calculating, I was like, I can work half as many hours making the same amount of money if I quit this job and go do that. And so I was like, I didn't really want to go do that. I started a video marketing company. Okay. I started doing some video stuff, but I got so tired of it. So I was like, I want to go be a coach, So ironically, this guy reaches out to me from LinkedIn and he says, hey, I have a sales training business. Have you ever thought about being a coach? And I was like, I thought about it, but I never really knew. So I was hurting, right? I didn't know what to do. I was like, okay, well, yeah, man, I'll go do some sales training with you. And he's like, cool. So here's how it works. I will give you the leads. And if you close the deals, you'll get 30% and I take 70. So I'll pay you 30% of whatever you sell. Yeah. He goes, if you want to do the coaching yourself, we flip it. You get 70 and I get 30. And I was like, cool. So that was kind of how I got into the model of what I'm doing now.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You put your mindset into it, right? And then things start. This is what I also teach is the inner game, the law of attraction stuff. That comes from within first, and then you see it show up. So that's what it did. I was hurting and I was praying, and I was like, God, send me something, right? And then the guy comes out of nowhere. So I go work for this company for a year and a half, and then the guy, I'm an entrepreneur, so his sales process didn't really change, but I'm like, hey, well, you can hire him for $2,500 or you can hire me for $35. And they're like, well, why would I hire you for $35 if he's the expert? And I was like, I give you extra. Like, he just goes 1 hour, done. I was like, I stay an extra hour with you and I consult with you and we role play and we can do all this other stuff I really like to do, stuff that really helps the other person. So I was like, okay, I'm the new guy, right? And I'm charging more than the expert that's been doing this for years. So I went out on my own. I go to an event and I couldn't even afford the event. So I'm like, God, like, how do I get to this event? Literally an email comes in, the guy says, I'm gifting tickets, and I go there. So they have experts on stage and then they have the audience in a hot seat. I got the hot seat, ironically, right?
Got the hot seat.
I got the hot seat. Okay. So they're asking me questions about my business. So instead of going as an internet marketer where everybody else was, I was like, hey, I got a sales training business.
Right.
So the long story of that is the guy putting the event on had these applications, gave them to me, said, I got 40. Can you use your sales skills to close these? And I said, yeah. He goes, how do you charge? I go, 70-30, right? Because I've already been conditioned from the last guy.
Yeah.
So we start, doing that. Then this one of the experts was like, hey, I heard what you did with Ken. I've got a $5,000 package. Can you come do that for me? I did that. And he goes, hey, there's a client of mine that's putting on this big 3-day event. He's selling a $10,000 and $20,000 package. They need somebody else to do some phone sales. So I was and I didn't even know what they were selling. They were selling, you know what EFT tapping is? These people like smack their face and around, like there's this trigger.
No.
Like, my life is not going well, but it's going to get better. And oh my God, da, da, da. I'm like, all right, look, if people want to pay 10, 20 grand to smack themselves in the face.
Wow.
So I got the first 10 grand sale, got the first 20 grand sale. I got the first $20,000 paid in full sale. So I was just using my sales process that I had developed,
Right,
and
right.
then that went on to the next person was like 50,000. So these are all like contracted positions, right? So this is something, how I got into it. Actually, it found me. Like I created this whole business. Yeah. And there's really not a lot of people that do this, that really can go out and contract with a person or an expert and sell their 10, 20, 50, $100,000 packages.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think 50K. And then I went to this guy, Ted McGrath, for a year. I was selling his $100,000 and $200,000 packages. I sold $1 million in 2 back-to-back weekends.
Wow. So let me stop you real quick.
Struggling to $1 million in sales.
Yeah. Let me stop you real quick. So let's back a little bit. So you quit your job, right? And to focus on the sales thing, right? So you actually left and quit to focus on sales.
A salary job.
A salary job. So
went to 100% commission.
Yeah. What amazes me is that you were tied to your destiny, right? Because you mentioned mindset. Most people don't realize how powerful their mind is, right? You were saying, I'm a coach. I want to coach, and you got a contact from LinkedIn that you didn't know saying, hey, I have a coaching course. Is that what it is?
No, he just said, hey, I've got a sales training business. I need somebody to help me out. Have you ever thought about being a coach? That was like the response. Exactly. And I was like,
exactly. So you were already tied to that in your mind. And most people don't realize that that's where it starts, right? You have to be able to visualize it up here first, and then those things start coming to you, and it's really a perfect scenario where it works every single time, because if you have something you want to do and it's out there, you can attract it to yourself. And that's the
thing too. Here's the thing on that we got to learn though, is that we got to let go of it. So like we need to focus on what it is that we want, but then most people, they start going, well, how do I get there? How do I do it? How do I do it? And they get stuck in the how. Right. But the how and the when, it's not your job. Right. Your job is just to know what you want, and once you figure it out, to let it go and enjoy the journey and let things find you. Because if you're out there searching for something, anything, clients, money, a woman, a house, a car, you're never going to find it. Right. You're never going to find it. Nobody realizes that until it's like, they think, oh, I've got to work. I've got to do this. Like, no, like you need that answer. Let it go. Go meditate. Go inside, and
guys, write that down. Let it go and let it find you. I'm writing down right now. Let it go.
I mean, like I tell this to people all the time, like, it sounds counterproductive, but like, trust me, like if you're stuck in the head and your logical mind, this is why scientists are not creative, because they're thinking too much.
Right.
If they stop, and if you actually ask them when they come up with their breakthroughs, it's when they stop thinking. And that's the problem, is that everybody's trying to think through everything, and we already know. Like we
Right.
already know what we need to do if we trust the unknown, if we trust
Right.
what's inside of us already. But
Yeah.
nobody wants to do that because they can't see it. So they need to see something with their eyes first, and then they believe it.
Right.
But I'm challenging people to believe into something first. This is what you were saying initially.
Right.
I had that to be a coach. I believed so wholeheartedly that I was going to be a coach. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. And I was just like, okay, this is what I want. And then, you know, I'd go through my life. And I was like,
so stop thinking and start creating. Right? Stop thinking and start creating.
Stop thinking.
That's amazing. So because we do tend to think and overanalyze everything that we do. I mean, even the cup of coffee we want, right? We think so hard. Should I get this or that? But yeah, stop thinking and start creating.
I'll give you a quick example of that too. Picture you want to go buy a car, and then you see this like nice blue BMW, and you're like, oh my God, I want to get that blue BMW. But you start focusing on the blue BMW, and you get like a white Mercedes that comes by, or a red, you know, Honda, or red, you know, whatever. And you're missing you're focusing on this one little aspect, but all this other stuff's happening and you're missing it. So if you, like in that scenario, said, well, hey, I would love to have, you know, the perfect luxury sports car, find me. Now you're not tied to that one thing, and you can just go through your life and wait for the energy connection, like the story about me wanting to be a coach. Like literally like find you. And the guy literally said, do you want to be a coach? And I was like, okay, well, how do I become a coach? I don't know.
Right. And so tell me this. So how did, you know, because the man you are today is not the man, you know, you were 20 years ago, right? So I was watching a Netflix show on Tony Robbins. It's called I'm Not Your Guru, right? And he said something that stood out to me. He said, the man you see right now is a man I had to construct. I had to make this man who he is. So where did you start? How did you become the man you are? How did you get the thinking? How did you get the mindset? Where did all that come from in your life?
Well, the first thing is, like, I kind of disagree with that. Okay. I think that we are already there. We're already a being. We're already perfect. We're just need, like I said, just go through life and enjoy ourselves. So we don't necessarily need to find ourselves. Like, in order for us to find ourselves, we're usually doing that for other people. We're not usually, like, we go through life, everybody's stressed out. So pretty much everybody that you talk to, regardless of what level, you got to assume that they're under some sort of stress. Like, there's nobody that's like super perfect. So in that scenario, I kind of bring it back that, you know, we already are perfect, and we just are stepping in to find us. Like, if we so for instance, if you have like an anger thing that comes in, right? Like, maybe your sales aren't coming through, you know, you're like, start getting angry. Oh my God, like, man, nobody seems to have money. All these people are coming in and like spend all this time and like on the phone and like doing this, but I'm not getting any sales, right? So we start thinking like, well, what's wrong with this picture? And they go, well, the leads are there, so that must be the same thing. So where's the problem? It must be with me. And then that's really the problem, is that we actually associate ourselves with the problem. And when we do that, it's almost like a little child throwing a temper tantrum, is that we are in control, but once we let something like that come into us, it attaches to us and we become unconscious. And then that takes over. It's almost like a split personality. So you can end the call and then boom, now you're back to your normal life, but the pain body is still in your head. And you're like, well, what's wrong with me? Like, why didn't I get those sales? And then you start dwelling on it. Well, why didn't I get that sale? Why didn't I get that sale? So guess what happens the next day? You're going to be in alignment with that. Remember, things are going to start finding us. Well, guess what? People that are vibrating with, like, I don't have money and I don't have the time, and like all the objections that we don't understand why people are saying, like, those are the things that start finding us. Like, I go to, like, when I'm on these teams and I go in and they're like, oh yeah, so like, hey, what's the problem? They're like, oh man, nobody has any money. Like, all these leads are coming in, and I'm just like, I put my fingers in my ears, and I'm like, I don't even want to hear it. Like, that's the answer right there. It's sitting right in front of your face. What's the opposite? That's the easiest thing. When anything like that comes in, negative or perceived as negative, and I can tell you how you can tell when it happens, because there's two ways. Your body basically takes your gut and it like squeezes it. So that's why you actually feel like your pain in your gut, right? When something starts going wrong, because it's fight or flight. So what do we do when we fight or flight? We run away, or we fight with our hands. So all the blood that goes into sustaining our body for growth now stops. It goes out of it squeezes our stomach, and then our brain also, our frontal lobe gets squeezed. So there's no brain, there's no blood there. Guess what? We're out of our head. We're out of our mind. You ever hear that? Man, you're out of your mind. Exactly. Because there's no blood in there. You actually are out of your mind. So this is so you don't have any of the blood flow coming in, and like you're not conscious about it. Once you start becoming conscious of it and you say, you know what, this is something that's bugging me. I'm aware of it. I'm not going to let it take over me. I'm going to, like a little child, put it in the corner and just let it, calm down. And once we disassociate it from ourselves, then we can be in that alignment. And things like the guy, when I'm like, I do this with manifestation steps, and I can show you how to do this. We can literally like write down what we want, and it will literally show up in your life. Like come to you. I've done it with clients. I've done it with women. I've done it with cars. I've done it with houses. And literally, I'm talking like I've written 25 things down, and 23 of them.
Really? Yeah. That's something that we definitely need to learn. So basically, you're saying, so in sales, a lot of times people bring their life story into their sales story, right? And
it's called the mental garbage.
Mental garbage, yeah. And you remind me of what you're saying is Dr. Joe Dispenza. Is like, I've been following him for a while, and I hear the trend between what you're saying, what he's saying, and it's all about story, right? It's all about, even in sales, it's all about what story are you telling? About yourself, exactly. About yourself. It's like, who am I? What am I? And if you believe that story over and over and over again, good or bad, it's going to reflect your sales career. And I'm amazed with you, because most sales coaches, their thing is go in there, get to sell, sell hard, push, not getting to the root problem, right? The root problem on why am I not performing? Why am I, come from your heart? Why am I not hitting these numbers? And then when you see the numbers, performing, you start over and the same story over and over and over again. So I love your approach to sales.
And guess what? Guess what happens when you have a thought that goes over and over and over and over again in your head? Guess what happens?
Comes true. You believe it. You believe it. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, some people are like, well, I got to see it in order to believe it. Guess what? You're already seeing it. You're sensing it. Your eyes, your nose, your hearing. So like Einstein says this, and this is like, if you want to talk about Dispenza, there's other guys too. Bob Proctor talks about this. Bruce Lipton, he talks about the scientific part of this stuff. Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, he talks all about all this stuff, So I take all that stuff and I blend it together so that we can utilize that inner stuff. And how, like, scientific stuff's really hard to understand. So I like to take it and break it down and make it real easy so that we can utilize it in things like business. But this stuff will work for your health. This will work for your, your wealth. It'll work with relationships, illnesses, diseases. Anything. So it's multi purpose and faceted. So,
So sales, to be a sales rock star, it's more, so take me through, so if I'm on the phone with you and you want to sell me something that's $20,000, right? Take me through how you prepare for that call, mentally, physically, and as far as, do you visualize the call, visualize the sale, visualize the close? Take me through how you prepare for a high ticket sales call.
All right. So if we kind of relate everything to the mind and stuff, it's like we get what we think about. So when we start, like, the preparation, like I was saying, is like, if we focus on things that aren't working out, it's going to show up more. So I always just tell people, like, be aware of that and then just say, what's the opposite? If you can just start catching that, what's the opposite? What's the opposite? So, like, for instance, you have a call and the guy doesn't go forward. Like, I did this the other day. Like, I'm in the process of selling a 25,000, probably more. I'm trying to get 40 or 50,000, but we had a deal at 25K for an e-commerce website. And then the guy, he's like, well, I don't know, is going back and forth. And then he's like, I decided I don't want to do it. So in my mind, guess what I started saying? You mother effer, like,
right.
Blah, blah. And I started going, then I go, wait, stop. I go, Preston, like, you're doing the stuff that, like, you're reacting, right? Like, you're not practicing what you preach. So I was like, all right, so what would I want to happen, right? Like, I'm like, oh, hey, you're an awesome guy. Like, thanks for doing the deal. And like, oh, the wire just came in, right? I start visualizing this stuff. And then, like, next thing you know, another guy reaches out to me and says, hey, do you have any more websites for sale? Like, literally, like, a few seconds later. I mean, it was crazy. And so then guess what I did? I said, hey, thanks a lot. You know, I really understand where you're at, to the first guy. And I was like, I understand where you're coming from. I was like, it sucks, but I understand. By the way, it's okay. I've already got somebody else that's interested in the site. No worries. Right. And then guess what? He reaches back out to me, you know, and I was like, so those are things that happen, but you got to prepare for that, right? So I could have taken that initial stance and gone, you know, angry, right? And just let that come over me and be like, and then I get on my next call, what happens? I transfer that anger. So sales is really a transfer of excitement, right? Like, I'm not excited. If you can see me, I'm kind of like pumped up. Like, it's hard for me because I like to stand up and walk around and I get pumped up and I do this stuff. But, you know, that's excitement. That's energy. And so if I'm just like, hey, how are you doing? You know, I got to give back for you. Hey, man, like, I'm here to find out about you. Like, I want to. So you got to do that. You got to really psych yourself up. I actually have this book right here. This is my little journal. I encourage you guys to get journals. So I got one here. This one's Build My Empire.
I like that one.
And this is stuff. And also, this is a thing you should be doing for your legacy. Okay. Like, this isn't stuff that you're just jotting down with your thoughts. This is stuff like, picture if you're going to give this to your kids. This is like them reading your thoughts and you're not here, right? Like, they can go through, like, you know, like me, success is a choice. I choose success. I choose abundance, prosperity, happiness. I claim this and something better. I expect this and something better, right? So these are positive things. So there's only 24 hours in a day. If I am thinking about, oh, this person sucks and this, you know, these people aren't having any money, then I don't have this going through. But if I'm focusing on this stuff and I actually have things through my mind or through my ears, like audio stuff playing, you can't think of anything. There's only have one thought in your head. All right, so that leads me to this. So I have this right here, and I wrote all this out. You can find this stuff, like, there's lots of sales stuff out there, but I just do it myself. So this one, I go into the call right before, and I just read this. I just go over. I go, I attract the perfect clients. I close everyone that I speak to, but I let go of the results. I'm just there to have a conversation with somebody. I intend to close everybody that I speak to. I believe, so I said I intend to, which that's the difference. I'm not expecting it, because if I set an expectation and it doesn't come through, then I get bummed. But if I set an intention, then it's just, hey, I'm going to go through and like do my thing. And if it happens, that's cool. And if not, that's also cool. Right.
So you said that you expect to close everybody, but you let go of the results. Dive deeper into that for me. What do you mean by let go of the results?
I intend to it. So I intend to close everybody, right? So I don't expect it. I don't go into the call with an expectation of a close. My whole real intention in going to a phone call is just to have a conversation. That's what you said right before this interview, right? Like, hey, we're just going to have a conversation. So that's the only thing that I do. But as a professional, I have a specific sales process. So if you start asking me questions and we start getting off topic, I can bring you back in. I also want to get these calls done in about 45 to 60 minutes because I might have another call. I have other things to do. I don't want to have these things go on and on and on. You know, like some people will talk your ear off and then they're fired. They're just there to have a conversation. So that's how I go into these conversations. I'm excited. I pump myself up before saying, oh, I intend to close everybody, right? It's in the back of my head. But when I go into this, I have no expectation of any result. All I expect is to have a conversation with you and to find out where you are now, where you want to be in the future, and what's getting in your way, and can I help you or not? And if so, then I'll tell you about the options that I got at the end of the call. And I'll ask them that, and I'll say, is that okay? And they'll say yes. And so what that does is that now they've given me permission. Like, so picture if I come to your house and I just walk in the door. What are you going to do? You're going to get upset. Like, but if I went to your door and I knocked and I said, hey, how's it going? And you go, hey, come on in, and you invite me in. Now, can you see how the difference? It's like a different cold calls, I'm calling you.
Definitely. Yeah. That's the Rockstar approach. So you said that you let go of the result. So if the result is in your favor or not in your favor, either you get the sale, you're done on to the next. If you don't get the sale, you're done on to the next. So is that what you mean by why you let go of the result, or you don't let it linger in your head for a while?
Exactly. So, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, look, I've done over 5,000 like 1 hour enrollment conversations. I've sold over $5 million personally myself. My clients have done way more than that. You know, so I have clients, like people that learn this stuff, like literally I've had people close $10,000 deals within 24 hours. I've had a guy in 12 hours close a $5,000 deal. And I even had a guy go through my free training, close $10,000 deal just on my free training. So these are the things, like, you know, when you apply these things, you can get, you know, awesome results. But when someone gives you permission to go through and say, hey, yes, you can find out about me. You can ask me questions. You can sell me at the end of the call. It removes this like mental barrier. Because here's one thing that's very important. When you have these conversations, there's two conversations going on. Okay, there's the conscious conversation, and this goes back to these like Bruce Lipton and stuff. There's constructive, which is positive waves, and destructive, which is negative waves. And it's like a door. The door can only be open or closed. It's one way. So if we're going in on the brain is always coming in. They're going basically subconsciously when we go into a sales call. The other person's going, when is this person going to sell me? Right. So up front, when I'm saying, hey, look, here's what I'd like to do. I've blocked out 60 minutes, and this is a big thing. It's called frame control. So in fact, look at this. This is the frame right here, right? So I'm in a frame. If I'm out of the frame, you can't see me, whatever I'm doing. But now that I'm in the frame, guess what? Now you're in aware. So if we're playing a game like basketball, you want to know the boundaries, right? Like if you don't know where the boundaries are, then, you know, hey, you're out of bounds. Well, I don't know where it was. Well, now you do. So if you cross this line, you're out of bounds. That's exactly what we're doing here. We think of this as a game. We set the frame, we set the boundaries, and we say, look, here's what's going to happen in the next 60 minutes. So right now they know exactly how long it's going to be, because each of them are like, well, hey, how long is this going to be? Hey, we've got the hour blocked out for us. We may or may not need it, but in the next like 45 minutes, what I want to do is find out about you, where you are now, where you want to be in the future, what's getting in your way, and see if I can help you. Now, this is important. If not, it's okay to say no. We can remain friends. And not but, and if it's a good fit, I will tell you about the options that I have available for you at the end of the call. Now, here is the kicker. Is that okay? Is that fair? And as soon as they answer, they have given us frame control. That's the permission. That's the knock on the door that says, come on in. You have to be the one asking the questions. If you ask the questions, you're in control. A lot of times what happens in these conversations, and that's why this is one of the most important parts of these conversations, you haven't done your sales process good in the beginning, like in the funnel. These people will come in and they'll go, hey, I just want to know what the price is. I've heard that a lot, I can't just give them the price because there's no value, right? Like I could be like, it's 10 grand. They're like, oh, it's too much. See it. Now they're already like, but if I build up value and I build up emotion, guess what happens? If the value exceeds that price, doesn't matter what price it is, there's a buyer at every level. It's like a car. Like, why doesn't everybody go out and buy the cheapest car out there? The value of the car. The value. It's what's important to them. Like they want this, they want status, they want, you know, a lot of recognition. They want things from other people, the ego, the logic stuff. So we know if we come from our heart, it's kind of manipulation, but if we know these things, we can say, hey, look, this is why you want this, right? Like it's help you with this and this and this and this, right? These are the benefits that they're looking for. So that's why we do this conversation, is because at the end of the call, when we ask for the sale, they're going to say, guess what? I got no time. I got no money. Well, that's funny. You just went through our funnel. You just got on filled out the form. You spent an hour together. You just told me how much you hated your life and you're willing to do whatever it is to change. But now you're telling me you're not. So I'm a little confused. Let's talk about it.
And you say that to them, right, on the phone. You actually put that on the table. Like, you know, I mean, that's amazing.
I don't push people. I challenge people. I go, look, you just told me this life that you don't want anymore. And as your ethical and trusted advisor, like I'm trying to do what's in your best interest. You're here trying to find help. I'm not here just trying to get your money, or we'd put a buy now button up, but that's why we right? If it's a good fit. So yeah, I mean, I challenge people. I'll tell them, I say, like, if they say they don't have the money, I'll say, look, go find it. Like a guy the other day, he was like, yeah, I don't know if I can get into the 25K program. Let me think about it. And I go, no. I go, you can't think about it. I go, this is why you're here. You've always been thinking about it. You're going to go back. You know what's going to happen. Logic is going to come in. You're going to find something else to do with the money. Yes, it's a lot of money, but think about the benefits. Like, what if it doesn't work out? That sucks. But what if it does?
What if it does? So you're like real upfront in their face. And I think, you know, I'm thinking back to early.
Well, it depends on the person, though.
Yeah, of course. But you're truthful. So you tell the truth.
80-20 rule.
Yeah, 80-20 rule. And I'm thinking back to my sales career when in the early on when people tell me, no, I have time, I don't have money. I'm like, okay, so and knowing that they're there for a reason. We're on this call for a reason, right? You call me for a reason. You want some type of result.
Not coincidence.
It's not coincidence.
Not coincidence that you're here now listening to this. The message that you're hearing now is because, like what we talked about earlier, you're vibrating, right? So it found you, right?
Right, exactly. And a lot of people have a negative vibe about sales and salespeople, the sales process, and people don't understand that. Because do you believe that as a human being that you're always selling? You're selling your girlfriend, selling your wife, selling your kids. Just selling is a way of life. So people realize how important selling is, and you do it every single day. That would kind of change, their mindset on selling. So do you believe that, first of all?
Absolutely. And I learned this from the first mentor that I was ever exposed to, which was in the Bible, Jesus Christ. He says, ask and ye shall receive. Right. So again, let's ask the question, what's the opposite of that? If you don't ask, you shall not receive. So with their mouth shut, that's the stupidest thing. Go ahead and complain about something, because if not, like, how is things going to change if no one complains about something? Oh, I don't like this. Like, it's too hot. Well, let's figure out how to create an air conditioner, right? These are the things that come up about, But also, again, when you talk about, we don't want to think too much about it. There's a time for thought, right? Like, we want to be quiet to get creative. Then when we get the idea, have you ever been in that moment where you're like, man, I don't know what to do? Like, I've got access to every single thing that I need, right? I've got like marketing and sales and this, and I got everything, the Facebook ads. I know how to do it all, right? But then you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Like,
that was my Monday.
What do I do?
That was my Monday.
So you sit there and your brain is just like fried with overload. So, in those moments, it's like, man, like, just get quiet and
So talk to me about you work with some big names, Ted McGrath, Sharon Lecter, Deepak Chopra. Tell me about how you can even get connected with people on that level. Vibrations, energy.
Oh, man. Vibrations. Like, literally, seriously, man, I tell you, like, you guys might not believe this stuff, but I'm telling you, this stuff works, right? Yeah. So, like I told you, it started off with that story about how I got, to the event. It was like $1,000 ticket, and then they're like, oh, I've got 5 tickets because I'm a speaker. I happen to be on the guy's list. That's how it happens. Yeah. I want to be a coach. The guy reaches out to me. Hey, you ever thought about being a coach? Oh my God, that's crazy. I just thought about it.
Yeah.
So, all right. So here's kind of a thing. All right. So when I was doing some stuff for Sharon Lecter, it was awesome working with Sharon, but I was the only guy on the team. So I kind of felt like I was sometimes, like, something would go wrong and I'd get blamed, right? Like, oh, Preston like stole a sale or something. Like, no, that's like, what are you talking like? And I had no one to talk to. There was no one on my side. So I crushed it for her. And I was just like, I need to work with some guys. I need some masculine energy, right? Like, I can't be the only masculine energy on the team. So I was like, I'd love to work for a guy. I would love to, have the guy have multiple events, because I was always doing one event and then it was done. It was like a contracted sales position. So I'd come in for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then it would be over, right? So I was like, I want something that's over and over and over again. And then I was like, I'd like to have $100,000 packages, like 6-figure packages to sell. I'd like to travel to these events. I'd like them to pay my expenses. So these are things too. Like, I'm writing all this stuff down. Remember I said, write the list of everything you want?
Before it even happens, you're writing it down. Before it even happens. Okay.
So exactly. So I get a piece of paper out and right at the top here, and you got to do this with pen and paper, no digital stuff. It cannot be digital. And so at the very top right here, I go, what I desire to experience with, and I just have a blank line there and I fill it in. So my next perfect client, my next girlfriend, my next car, my next house, my next client. So guess what I did? I started putting that down. First thing, I want to work with a guy. I want to have multiple events. I literally went down the list. I went like, I just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 25 things on there. And I started to write each line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And crazy things. I was like, I want to get paid full-time income, working part-time. I want to have these guys pay all of my expenses for these trips, and then literally like 10 minutes later, maybe not 10 minutes, it was maybe a couple days later, I get a thing through my Facebook feed, and it was Ted McGrath pitching like high ticket sales. I was like, who's this joker Ted McGrath? I've been doing this for years. Like, I don't know who this guy is.
Yeah.
And he's so I always like to go through their funnels, get on their list, kind of see what they're up to. And so I opted into his list. And then like literally a week later, he puts a message out on the list and it says, hey, we're looking for high ticket sales superstars. Wow. And I was like, thank you, God. This is my next client. As soon as I saw that email come through, like in my mind, I instantly knew I was the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I went through and I applied for it. You know, like I never really had to apply. Everything else I've done before up to this point was referral. So this I applied. I had to do a video. I had to submit like application. I had to do all this stuff, and I didn't hear from them for like 2 weeks. And I was like, so, and I just let it go, right? Like I was like, I sent it out there. I knew in my mind I was this guy. I was his guy, right? But then, so I respond back like 2 weeks later. I'm like, hey, it's been like 2 weeks. I haven't heard from you guys. They're like, oh my God, we had like 200 applications come in. We got way overwhelmed. I'm so glad that you contacted us. You were our number one guy.
Wow.
You were the number one guy that we wanted to talk to, and we want to set you up with a call with Ted. So I went through and had a call with Ted, and it was like literally like my brother. I was like, man, your sales process is the same as my sales process. I was like, everything that you've got, I'm like, cool. I go, I'll tell you what. I was like, if you guys are running ads, I was like, I'm not going to try to sell you. I was like, just give me 10 leads and I'll just prove to you what I can do. So he was like, all right. And then, he had me talk to the other guy the other salesperson so I can understand kind of what's going on. And the other guy's like, man, the leads suck. You know, remember we were talking about, right? Nobody's got money. Nobody's got time. And I'm like, what's the I was like, I don't want to fucking hear this. Right. So I go through and, I was like, hey, well, I'm going to take some leads on. So anyways, out of the 10, I closed 4, and I was selling a $2,000 package. And I didn't even know what I was selling. It was just the first thing, right? I just used my sales process. I just went through where you're at now, where you want to be, future, you know, what's getting in your way. Hey, you know, and I have a few steps in there that I have 2 steps in my sales process that nobody else out there uses. And so it's subtle, but this is one of the biggest kickers. So I used this process. I closed 4 of them for $2,000 each, $8,000. He was spending like $4,000 on Facebook ads, I think, at the time. He's like, dude, you doubled our marketing budget in like a week. Jeez. So he's like, you're my number one guy. I was like, what do you mean? So he's like, yeah, it's like 4 days later. He's like, hey, so what are you doing Tuesday? You know, and I'm like, he's like, I'm flying you out to California. You're coming into the meeting. So there was this guy, Evan Pagan. He's this huge, you know, internet marketing superstar. But one of the guys that was his like COO does consulting. So this guy's like in the meeting room with me, Ted McGrath, the marketing manager, the event person, and the other salesperson wasn't even there. And so like after the first day, I was like, hey guys, so where's the other sales guy? They're like, what do you mean? Like you're it. I was like, it's like I just closed 4 deals. How can I be it? Yeah. So anyways, I went on and I sold like he had put a launch on. There was 4. He actually recruited a few people from his that were in his mentoring program to go help sell. And so there was 4 other guys on the team for the launch. They did $1.35 million in sales. $1 million came from affiliates, but we did $350,000 internally with 5 of us. I personally enrolled $250,000 of it because I used my process, $250,000 of it. And these other guys, like some of them had more sales than me, but they didn't have near the volume. And there's a testimonial on my webpage or on, you know, that you can see Ted McGrath was like brought me up on stage and he's like, man, this crushed our, you know, launch and stuff. So, so I don't know if I'm off topic or what your question was.
No. I mean, everything you're saying is totally on topic. And it's trips me out because, you know, when you say high ticket sales Rockstar, you know, the approach most people think is a different, like I said, the high pressure, high sales, you know, do this, do that, but yours is more from a mindset. So guys, you know, this is not a typical.
Look, I'll tell you real quick. The first 45 minutes of that call, I don't talk about anything about me.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's all like, let me find out about you, where you are now. Tell me more about that. Oh, like this is, you know, and we got to find their pain, and then like where you want to be in the future, and like, you know,
so you don't push features and benefits, and you don't do all that. I mean, and
at the very end, my pitch is like literally, like 2 minutes. Like, I'm like, hey, so, you have any questions? And they're like, how much is it? And I'm like, well, here, let me tell you would you like me to tell you about the details? And I go, well, look, you can get, like this, we'll teach you how to do, Facebook ads and how to do your, Facebook group and get, leads in here and the high ticket sales process. And we'll teach you how to do like joint ventures and we'll teach you how to put everything together. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that you get to. There's all these bonuses, but I don't want to overwhelm you, because if I give them too much logic right now, guess what they're going to do? They're going to start thinking. So I need to like skim over. We got them all emotional for that's what I was saying. There's 2 conversations, consciously and subconsciously. The decision is made subconsciously.
So
but it's justified with logic.
Everything
so you've got little teeny bit of logic.
Everything you're saying about your process is more talking about the result that the client wants and not about you. They want a certain result in their life. They want to change it in their life. So that's what you focus on, right? Their result.
Well, I got to find out what it is.
Right, exactly.
Right? I don't really know. Even if they have a form and they fill everything out on the form, I kind of play stupid. I'm like, hey, I read your thing here, but I just want to hear from you, right?
Gotcha. Makes sense. Well, brother, this has been like a massive wow session. I mean, it has.
Do a whole nother one, man. Like, there's so much stuff. In fact, I'm doing an event this weekend here in Boca, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, on the energetics of sales. So that's going to be my thing, the high ticket Rockstars event, and we are doing this stuff into the future too. So yeah, look for us.
I definitely need to come to one of your events and come and get some intense training. So 2 things before we wrap up. One is that how important for you at any stage, in the beginning, in the middle, and now, how important for you is it to be thankful, to have gratitude no matter what happens? Talk to me about gratitude and thankfulness.
Ooh, man, that's a whole nother topic as well, dude. So I wrote a couple of books. I'm a #1 best-selling author. One of my other books is really more personal development, and it's the 7 steps to overcome any obstacle. Recreate yourself. This is how we can recreate ourselves. With kind of like the steps I showed you how to manifest. That's in there. But the last step is gratitude, and it could actually be the first step. I didn't say that in the book. So it's so important to be gratitude, because we live in a dual world, right? So the way I look at it, and it's not because of this, it's not like I'm doing this because it needs it, but we live in a dual world. So there's 2 things. So if I experience gratitude, or if I want to experience more gratitude, or if I want to experience more anything, guess what I have to give? More of it. I have to give more of it. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not purposely giving out things so that I can get it back. I'm giving out things because it's coming from my heart, because I actually feel good giving, right? It's awesome to give. But at the same time, that's where we wait for things to show up to us. It's being aware of this. So it's not necessarily doing it so that we get something in return, right? Like, I'm the person, like, if you ask me to move, I'll go help you all day long. And I'm not saying you owe me one, right? Like, we're even, dude. Like, I offered my help and that's it. I'm not expecting anything in return, right? So then think about the people that do expect things in return. The people aren't going to ask them they're not going to think that they're genuine. Right? Because they're not. They want something in return. It's about them. It's not about you, right? So for me, and that's the sales process. I want to focus all my attention on you for the first 45 minutes. I don't want it to be about me. Even if you ask me, I'll say, I'll get to that in a minute. Let me tell you, let me find out a little, hold on, let me ask you one more question, right? I can keep the conversation going and going and going, right? Like, oh, hey, I got one more thing to tell you. Oh, by the way, hey, did you ever hear about this? Oh, hey, right before we go, there's one other thing. I've got people that said, hey, I've been on 10 minutes. We're on an hour and 10 minutes.
Wow.
So gratitude's so important. The first thing I do in the morning is I pray. I wake up and so prayer is the thing, is asking, right? Ask and you shall receive. So it's not necessarily that we're asking for money or clients or something, although we certainly can do that. But it's also in those moments, it's like, you know what? God, I am grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful that I have, air conditioning. I'm grateful that I have food and I'm grateful for like my cat and my friends and the hot water, like just basic little things like that. Like, I go on gratitude walks. In fact, I walk outside, I walk around. I did it today. I took a picture. See if I can show you what I did. This is exactly what I do. I go on gratitude walks and I don't do anything. I pay attention to the moment. All I do is I go, all my head is, what are you doing right now? I'm like, walk it. What are you doing now? Walk it. Because remember, if there's a thought in my head, I can't think about something else. So if I want to be gratitude, like, I go out and look for gratitude. So like, for instance, I saw these these flowers today. And I was like, oh, how awesome. Like, that's the coolest picture.
Yeah.
Nice color. I'm going to go take a picture of it, you know? And then these are the things too. Like, it's also good for social media because now people want to see what we're doing, right? Like, want to come on that journey with us.
Yeah.
So I can say, hey, I was out at Meisner Park today. I saw these really cool flowers.
Yeah.
There's nothing salesy about that. Right. This will probably get more, interest than a sales post.
Amen. Yes, sir.
That's gratitude right there. Like, I went out and I looked, and people are so fast. They ride their bikes, they drive their cars. They don't take time to go look at the flower and stop and smell the. You ever hear that expression? Stop and smell the
flowers. Yeah.
The last time you did it. I did it the other day. A girl had a flower in her hair in front of CVS in front of me. I go, hey, that's a pretty flower. And then she's like, oh, it smells awesome too. And she put it in. I'm like, wow, it does. She goes, they're right out in the parking lot. And I was like, oh my God, like I didn't even see them. So I stopped out there and a woman like pulling in. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm taking a picture of the flower and I'm smelling it. I'm stopping to smell the flowers. And she's like,
that's so taboo now. That's just so taboo now.
So gratitude is so important. Yeah, dude. Like, go out on a gratitude walk. I'm gonna challenge it. Go for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Just look at the leaves, look at the dirt, look at the little lizards, look at all the little things that you normally don't see, and be grateful that you're able to experience that.
So before I ask my last question, where do we find you? Social media. I mean, we're going to link everything up in the show notes, but just tell us where to find you verbally right now. I mean, all you have. I mean, your book, your IG, your Facebook. I mean, where are you?
Best thing is just go to my website, Preston Rahn, RAHN, PRESTON, RAHN.com. There's a free training in there. You can go through that. People say it is awesome. Like I said, I've had people close $10,000 deals just from that free training. YouTube, I've got a YouTube channel. Most of the stuff like on I have testimonials on my website, Facebook, LinkedIn. So just go do a search for me. I'm not hard to find. I'm Boca Raton, Florida.
Well, they will
come and see us tomorrow.
They will find you. They will find you. So the event tomorrow in Boca Raton, is that also on the site, or where can they find information for that?
It'll probably be over by the time that this is posted, but
that's true.
Yeah. So, but we will have other ones, so you can always just stay in touch.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So my last question is, so for everybody listening, and even for myself, I mean, it was amazing value. So give us 3 action steps that we can take right now to become a high ticket sales rockstar.
Well, there's 3 things. So first thing is you just got to make the decision. I mean, that's it.
Okay.
Like, with anything, if you got to go for it, right? And you want to go big, you got to go in. Like, you can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Right.
Like, you can't go into the shallow end and take 1 step at a time. Go to the deep end and just jump. Like, just go for it. And like, if you haven't, I don't know if I have the book right here somewhere. I usually have it around. The Price Pritchett book. He has these things. It's like U squared. He says, trust in the unknown. Go for it. Go big, right? Like, step out of your comfort zone. And so these are the things too. But you got to make a decision. If you want something, you got to decide that that's like for instance, somebody was like, hey, I want to go buy a house, but I don't know what to do. I go, have you even talked to a real estate agent? Have you done at least applied? Like, you just don't, already in your mind, you're already thinking about it. By the time they go out and they do that, then they're like, oh, I didn't know, but I think I can afford a house now. Well, guess what? Like, you're not going to know until you decide. You got to go take action. That's the next step.
Okay.
Once you make a decision on what you want to do, you got to take action on it.
Okay.
And if you don't take action on it, I mean, like, look, I could sit there and write all this stuff out about how I want the light to go on. And somebody may come through the door, but I don't want to wait for that, right? Like, I want to keep going through my life. So I want to set the end goal. Remember the boundaries, like beginning and an end, like a book, right? So I want to make sure that I'm on this path and I have an end goal of where I want to go, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to hey, I want this goal, right? My goal, I want to have, I want to be a multi-billionaire, $33 billion. I like threes. So or maybe 333 billion. How about that?
Right.
So I'm going to be a multi-billionaire. Okay. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know when it's going to happen. I just know that I believe and I'm choosing it. I made the decision to do it. So that's the goal. I'm not going to worry about the steps to get there because that's God's job. God's going to provide the steps at the right time. Right? Sometimes people are like, hey, I want to invest, but I need to know step A through Z. Like, I don't know it, man. We got to do A, B, and C first before D, E, and F even to show up.
Right.
So that's the thing is, you got to make the decision. You got to take action. Here's probably one of the most important parts of this whole thing is you've got to believe in yourself. And so there's a lady, Brené Brown. She did a study over, it was supposed to be a year. She did it for 6 years. She studied successful people versus people that weren't so successful. One thing she found out is the people that were successful just wholeheartedly believed that they were successful. Like that was the thoughts going through their head. Like, oh, I'm successful. I'm successful. Like these things work for me. Everything's working out. When I wake up in the morning, first thing I say is, thank you, God. You know, today's a beautiful day. Today's a great day. And everything is working out for me. I expect and intend for things to work out for me. Right. So, and if they don't, I'm okay with it because contrast provides clarity. So I'm okay if contrast, in fact, I welcome contrast because that makes me realize that I'm not focusing on the, enjoying the moment. So those are the things, man. You got to really make a decision that this is what you want. You got to take action on it, and you wholeheartedly got to believe in yourself.
So we got decide, take action, and believe in yourself. Those are the 3 keys. So my brother, I appreciate every second you spent on this call. It was life-changing. And we will definitely keep in touch. Like I said, you are a powerful individual and you're a blessing. I'm thankful for you being here. So,
well, I'm thankful for you to put this platform together and, allow experts to share, their story and help people out. I have 2 models I'm going to leave you guys with. So the first thing I believe in is service to others. And the reason why is that's what we're here to do, is we're here to serve other people, right? We're supposed to help other people. But the other thing is enjoy and love the moment, because sometimes when we're servicing other people, it kind of sucks. So we always have to keep that in mind, that enjoy the moment, right? Enjoy the journey to that end result. That's it.
Yeah. Awesome. And I took some pretty good notes. So I hope you guys wrote your notes down too, because and go back, I've heard that unread notes that you don't read are uncashed checks. So make sure you go back and read all your notes. And just know that everything that you do starts with a mindset and knowing that God made you to create. You were born to create. So thank you for watching Born to Create. Thank you, Mr. Rahn. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Have an amazing day. Take care, guys. Bye.